Oh, yes. Yes, Matthew. Great to have you here. And actually today is going to be such an important verse. This is a really key, important verse. So it's one of those verses that you are going to hear other people, you're going to hear Raghu or Kushtuba, or you're going to hear it, people reciting it. So even if you get this one verse, it's good. And yeah, and in your own free time, once your work lets up, you can catch up, or you can, like we said, we got Mr. Chance here, we got Clayton, we got Chapu, all these. Here's Dana K. Welcome. We got all these folks, Chapu, Clayton, Dance. They're going to know some verses that you don't know, so you can always practice with them, and they all chant it nicely. Let's start with Chapu. Chapu, give us a recitation. See how far you can get.
Very well, everyone. Good morning. Okay, let's see how it goes. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Mulam Madashakam Ashvatam Prahuravyayam Chandam Siyasya Parnani Yastam Veda Saveda Ved Adaschurdvam Prasitastasya Shaka Guna Pravrida Vishaya Pravala Adaschamulani Anusantatani Karmanupandini Manushaloke Narupamasyeha Tatopalabhyate Nanto Nachadir Nacha Sampratishta Ashvatamenam Suviruthamulam Asanga Sastrena Tritena Chitvam Tatapadam Tad Parimargitavyam Jasmingatana Nivartante Bhuyam Tamevachadyam Purusham Prapadye Jata Pravriti Prasritha Purani. This is the tricky one for me. Nirmana moha gita sanga dosha Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha Dvandvair bimukta sukha dukkha samkhye Gacchantyamuta padamavyayantat
Very nice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you were done there. I was like, very, very nice. Yeah,
let me try 15:6.
No.
Natat basayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha jadgatva na nivartante tadama paramam mama.
Very nice. Woo!
Thank you.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Thanks to you.
Bailey, you there? Got Bailey there?
Yes.
All right. You want to do some recitation?
Sure. It's a hard act to follow, though. I'm just laying that out there. All right. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhvamulam Adashakam Ashvatam Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasyad Parnani Yastam Vedasa Vedavit Adashchordvam Prasritas Tasya Shaka Guna Pravrida Vishaya Pravalaha Adashchamalani Anusantatani Karmanubandini Manushaloke Narupam Asyeha Tatopalabhyate Nanto Nachadir Nacha Sampratishta Ashvitam Enam Suveruramulam Asanga Shastrena Durdena Chitva Tata Padam Tat Parimargitavyam Yasmin Gata na nivartante bhuyaha tam eva chadyam purusham prapadye yata
Praviti.
pravriti
Yes.
prasarta purani nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivrita kamaha dvandver vimukta sukha dukkha samger
Gachanti.
gachanti amuda padam avyayam tat na tad bashiyate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tadama
Paramam. Paramam.
paramamama
Yes, yes. Nice, nice, nice. Awesome, awesome. So very good, very good, very good. So let's go right into verse number 7. Now we're shifting into, does anybody remember the acronym? What's the acronym for chapter 15? The division of the dialogue.
Something funny. Home?
It'll
Was it
become-
home?
Home, yes. Thank you, Seva. So H stands for, these first verses are about whether this world is our home or a hotel. And basically, Krishna's saying, no, this is the reflective world. This is not our home. Well, and where are we in the Bhagavatam? We were just hearing how Brahma is about to get his hand shaked by Lord Vishnu, and he's given a vision of the spiritual world and says, "Hey, make your own, material replication of it." So in the spiritual world, there's bodies, there's, people have heads and, eyes and talk and walk and all those things. But it's just the reflection of it. It's here is the hotel and there is our home. So now this section is the O, and O stands for over and over and on again. So that's this whole section, 7 and 11, verses 7 through 11 are about reincarnation. And this verse makes a very pertinent point, which addresses some philosophical issues or some debates. This verse resolves that debate. So I'll just read it. Mevamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha mana sastrani indriyani prakritishtani karshati. Probably the hardest part of the verse is going to be those two words, sashtani and indriyani together. Mana sashtani indriyani. Two words there, sashtani and indriyani. And you can just say it like that. Mana sashtani indriyani. Prakriti shtani karshati. So does anybody have an idea what point in this verse makes it a very important or crucial verse in resolving a type of philosophical conflict?
May I answer?
Yes, Mr. Chance.
is it how Krishna specifically says my eternal fragmental parts, makes the distinction that we are separate but eternal at the same time?
Exactly. Perfect. Yes. So the Advaita conception, the conception coming from the followers of Sripad Shankaracharya, which is the also known as Mayavadi or impersonalism, which is not just in one tradition, but pervades a lot of thought throughout India, is that you do not exist. You know, I am you, you're me. It's all one to the sense of complete destruction of individuality. And the first verse of the Bhagavad Gītā asserts, Natvevaham jatu nasham, the first verse where Krishna begins to instruct Arjuna. That's verse 212, I think, or 211, 212. Yeah. Or he says, Natvevaham jatu nasham namam nema janadipaha. Never was a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So he's asserting this individuality as eternal. Whereas the Advaita conception is that just like they say there's a sky, or I guess you could call it space, within a clay pot. And it seems to be part of that clay pot, but once the clay pot is broken, it just becomes part of the space, just the open space, and it's no longer, it doesn't have its own distinction. But as you said here correctly, Krishna uses that word. First, he uses the word anksha, which means a part, a fragment, but it's not a fragment in the sense as Krishna says earlier in chapter 2, the soul cannot be cut to pieces by any weapon. So it's not a fragment that it's a broken piece and it joins back with the whole. It's a fragment in the sense here, what Acharya said. It said something like, oh, the Venus, there is a Vedic statement, Venus is a fragment of the moon, in the sense that the brilliance of Venus is a small but similar quality to the brilliance of the moon. It's a small percentage of the brilliance. It's similar, but it's not the moon. It's a different body. It's a different thing. It's a different individual. That's what Baladev Vidyabhushan says in the commentary. So similarly, the soul, it's its own individual, but it is similar. It's made out of the same substance as Krishna. It's Satchidananda. It's made out of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So it is an anksha. It's a fragment, but it's eternally a fragment. Whereas the Advaita conception is after you achieve liberation, it just becomes oneness. You don't exist. God doesn't exist. Even the Advaita conception will be that, yes, Krishna is God of the matrix. He's just the God of, when you get to the highest point, it's all just one. It's just an illusion. Even the spiritual world, it's just a oneness. So there's a rejection of the individuality of the soul and the supreme soul. Carlos, we have a Carlos coming in. Let's see, who is Carlos? Welcome, Carlos. Hare Krishna. Carlos, welcome. Is this Carlos? All right. Welcome.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, this is Carlos.
Okay. Where are you calling in from? What part of town?
So right now I'm in Canada, so near Toronto.
Okay. Welcome. So we're going over verse number 7 of chapter 15. And so mama, what does mama mean? Who knows the meaning of that word? We already had it. I believe we had it in one of the previous verses. Something. Hey, you can practice Spanish with me too. I'm practicing every day.
Ok, lo voy a tomar en cuenta, gracias.
So, mama, what does mama mean? Mine, yeah. Oh, we said, yeah, the first things we say, mama, when we're born. So, mamai vamsho. You put the angsha and mama together, it becomes mai vamsho. Mama and Ava. Ava certainly is a mama mai vamsho. Mamai vamsho. Jiva loke. What does loke mean? World, yes. Jiva bhuta sanatana. So these jivas are eternally this fragmented part. Mana, what does mana mean? Manaha. Oh, okay. I have somebody, 1 second. I have somebody asking right now to be a part of the group. Let me see, how do I share them? I click on, today I'm working off of my phone, so it's a little harder. Okay. Because the internet's down at the house. Okay. Mana. What is the mana? Anybody remember?
Mine.
Man.
Mine.
Oh,
Mine.
mine.
Mana.
I think of
Mine.
Manu.
Mana. Manashastani. Indriyani. What are? Does anybody know what are indriyas?
Senses.
Senses. And the word indriyani is it's used in a different sense in Sanskrit, because in English we use the word senses just to refer to the senses of perception: hearing, touch, taste, smelling. The word indriyani, not specifically in this verse, but in Sanskrit, it's also used for, there's called karmendriyani, the organs of action, such as the legs, which move you, or the hands, which perform work. So but this is, there's the karmendriyani, the organs of action, and this is the organs of perception. And so you have 6 senses. So, and one of them has already been mentioned in the verse, just to give us some help. And those 6 senses are the mind. It says that mind is being included, which includes they're struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. Prakritishtani karshati. Prakritishtani karshati. There's a verse in chapter 7, is a very important to a string of verses, which Krishna describes the inferior and superior energies. So the inferior energy, let's see, that's chapter 7, text number 4. Yeah. Mir apo nalo vayu kamana bhudarevacha ahankara itiyame bhira prakritir ashtada. So bhumir is earth, apa water, bhumir apo nala fire, vayu wind, kam, which is space, mana mind, bhudir intelligence, and so on, evacha. So these are the gross elements. And then the next one, it says, Apreyam etastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhuta mahabaho yayadam dharyate jagat. So the next one is he says, but there is a superior energy, and that is the jiva, the souls. And what are they doing? They're trying to exploit, they're trying to control, they're trying to exploit the material energy. trying to bring everything under their control. But the problem is it is a struggle. It's not actually going under their control. There's also a verse in chapter 7 where he says, Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya durataya mama evaye prapadyante mayatam tarantite. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is very difficult to overcome. And then he says it's very difficult. And then the next line he says, but it's very easy for someone who surrenders unto me. Usually in Sanskrit, the way they reveal something is first part of the sentence often is it's revealing something known, something that is a common piece of knowledge. And then the second part of the verse is revealing something more, a revelation, a secret, a deeper idea. Like there's a most important verse in the Bhagavatam, or the Paribhasra Sutra, or the kind of axiomatic principle of the Bhagavatam is in that first canto, where it says, Ete chamsa sakala pumsam. All these avatars, they're listing the avatars. I think it's chapter 4. They're listing all the avatars. Ete chamsa sakala pumsam. All these avatars come from the Purushas, the three Vishnus. The one that the universe has come out of his pores, the one that he enters into the universe, and Brahma is born from his belly button, and he creates all the planets. And then the last one where he enters into every single atom. He says all the avatars come from these three Vishnus. Ete chamsa sakala pumsam. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. But Krishna, he is the Swayam. He's the original supreme person. So that's like the new revelation. So here in that verse I read from chapter 7, he says, this divine energy is very difficult to overcome. But the second part is, but it's very easily done if you surrender unto me. So here, Krishna is speaking about that difficulty. Prakriti shtani karshati. It's like one of the acharyas said, it's like big, heavy shackles on our feet. But the problem is that we're very proud of the shackles. We're like, look at my golden shackles. We have big shackles, prison shackles on our feet. And we're proud of it. It's not that really the shackles have us, but we are attached to the shackles. It's kind of like, as you heard me, I think you've heard me mention this before, like this guy is, like holding on to the tree. He's holding on. He's like, help, help, help. This pillow's got me. Help, help. And you're like, just let it go. Shut up with your philosophy and just do something practical. Just help me. No, just let go of the pillow. No. So we have this deep attachment, and we're holding on to whatever material desire passes through our mind. We're identifying, we're holding on to it. That's my desire. Because let go. It's like, actually, that's just the functionings of the mind. I don't need to be karshati, struggling with that. I don't need to hold on to that. So living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts due to conditioned life. They are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. Any reflections so far? Any comments or questions? Anybody? And I can't see all you guys because I'm on the phone. So I just see, right now it's showing Chapu, but it's just whoever last spoke, it's showing.
Prabhu?
Okay, so let's give it a practice. I don't think, because I'm doing this on my phone, I'm not seeing a breakout room button, which is unfortunate because that really helps to increase our ability to practice.
Prabhu?
Yeah? Somebody said?
I think Clayton had a comment or maybe a question.
Oh yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Thanks, Bailey. Prabhuji, it was just a question actually, and anyhow, like on this point about like you were making about that, I love that analogy you gave of the clay pot breaking, and like
Yeah.
the as a sort of an analogy for the Mayavad philosophy or whatever. So like I was actually just like, I've been looking for a yoga school, right, to do my teacher training, and so I've been looking at schools, also looking at closely at their yoga philosophy, right, because I don't want to really go to a school that doesn't really, where I'm going to be sort of not really wanting to listen, to be honest.
Yeah.
But this one yoga school here, the guy, I was tempted just because he comes from a totally different tradition than the Gaudiya Vaishnava Bhaktas. He's what do you call it? A Kashmiri Shaivite, right? Kashmiri Shaivism. And I was trying to read a little more about it, and he made, like, even within that Mayavad school or whatever, he made two distinctions, like the one being sort of that clay pot analogy, like when we achieve nirvana, we cease to exist altogether, right? And the other one, which was sort of this idea that, well, in Shaivism, right, because they see Lord Shiva as the supreme, this idea that we are all Lord Shiva, and that actually when we attain nirvana, we will become Shiva too. So like, in a sense, we have those spiritual senses, like we're still distinct in a sense, but we're still, I don't know, can you comment on that at all? Like it's
I don't know about Kashmiri Shaivite philosophy.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hear the term bhakti as applying to Shaivitism, but if the idea is to become the person, then it's not bhakti, because bhakti always requires the element of the devotion expressed between two entities.
Yeah.
So like, there's the bhakta and there's Bhagavan. There's an exchange going on.
There was this phrase that you'll know, Prabhu, that in Bhagavatam, Vishnu Murti, and it came up a couple times in my reading yesterday, and it was a similar idea, that like to this Shaivite thing, but I think it was a little different in the sense that you're saying, because it was saying like in the Vaikuntha planets, we get a body like Vishnu, Prabhupada was
Absolutely,
saying.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's one of the different forms of moksha. There's Salokya, Sarupya, Samipya, Sarshti, and I forgot the fifth term. Salokya. What does loka mean?
Planet.
So you can live on the same planet. You're not just like one of the atoms of in the effulgence. That's the first stage, which is the impersonal, without a kind of interaction or relationship. So Salokya means you live on the same planet. That's you're heading in. That's Sarupya or Samipya, having similar opulences. I forget which one's first. Samipya and Sarupya, having the same kind of form. And I think we mentioned in the previous class that in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, the devotee Gopal, he goes to the spiritual world and he sees this being that looks so wonderful, as it is as if the opulences of universes are pouring out of his body. And he falls at his feet and said, "My dear Lord, it's so wonderful to see you." And he's like, hey, I'm just one of the Joes here. You got to go to the Lord. He's over there. And then he sees the next person. The next person's like, thousands of times more amazing than the previous one. And he's like, no, I'm just a regular Joe here. Like, got to find the Lord. He's like, wait, he's much more beyond that. So there is an idea of having a similar form, but it's still, there's this, the relationship is not extinguished, because as soon as you get rid of individual personality, then there's no exchange of relationship. There is a sense, there's definitely a sense even of oneness in the mood and in the form of love. There is even a form of Vaishnavism that can be even classified as a Dvaita, as kind of in the platform, in the idea of oneness. So there's some kind of sense of that. It's not that oneness is thrown out. it's, we're not absolute dualists.
Yeah.
Because without oneness, without, how does the oil and water, how do they interact? How are they even mixing? How are they even connecting? So as Prabhupada said, you can't say you see a little tiny particle of gold and you can't say, well, it's not gold because it's so insignificant. It's still gold. So the soul is still Krishna in the sense that it's of the same essence, same spiritual nature.
Thank you for that. That actually just reminded me of just a small point that I think you'll agree with, but I'd love to hear what you have to say. That often, like, I know for me, when I was a new devotee and new to the Gita and this, this philosophy, and Prabhupada's pranams, right? In Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, that he came to deliver the Western world from impersonalism and voidism. And, I found, like, as a young devotee, I tended to take those ideas up and almost bandy them about as a weapon sort of thing, right? Like, Mayavad, right? Like I heard somebody say that this morning, like how much we're against Mayavad, but actually, like, and Prabhupada he makes very forceful statements against it. But at the same time, like you're saying, Prabhu, like there is some scope for that even in our Vaishnava philosophy, because in fact, that is like sort of to have that realization of like Brahman or Paramatma is like, that's kind of a very elevated position, right? It's not something to
and the distinction between a Brahmavad and a Mayavad is saying that God is Maya, that Krishna is just an illusion. A Brahmavad is somebody who is attracted to the impersonal energy of the Lord, but doesn't have this absolute philosophical idea that God, the being, does not exist. It's just that's not where that's not the direction they've been driving. They're just been connecting to that non-personal aspect of the Lord. This the Brahmananda, the spiritual energy, like the four Kumaras. They were attracted to that. But as soon as they came in contact with the personal form, they found it to be, millions of times more relishable. Just like Shukadev Goswami, example. What is the famous verse in the Bhagavatam? Atma Ramas Chamuniyo. How amazing is it that a person who is fully immersed in spiritual bliss and is Atma Rama, means they don't need anything. They're fully satisfied. But they become attracted to that personal form of the Lord because it's on a whole nother level. The Bhagavatam, I think it's a Bhagavatam, somewhere it's described that if you take the bliss that is found on earth, you multiply that thousands of times. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita. You take that thousands of times, and that equals the bliss that you get on Indraloka, heavenly planets. You take that bliss, you'd multiply that thousands of times. That's the bliss that you get on Janaloka, planets of like great yogis. The next one, you multiply thousands of times, Tapaloga, great ascetics. You take that bliss, you multiply that 1,000 times. That's the pleasure you get on Brahmaloka, the abode of Lord Brahma. You take that pleasure thousands of times, and you multiply that, thousands of times. That's the level of a Brahmananda, the spiritual experience of experiencing yourself as the eternal spiritual entity. And you take that pleasure and you multiply that billions and billions of times. And that substance still does not equal one drop of the ocean of happiness that the soul experiences in bhakti, in that loving, ecstatic exchange. So as Krishna says in chapter 12, it is a valid path. Mayavad refers to when we start to denigrate the being as being that God is an illusion. That's that being attracted to the impersonal energy of God is one thing, but to denigrate the being of God, that's called Mayavadi.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Tukaram, what is the comment? Tukaram Prabhu commented in his lectures that you can't have a form from formlessness, but you can have formlessness from form. can't have form from formless, but you can have formless from form. Okay. Like saying that God, the source, is formless, and is kind of like saying hot sunlight came from a cold sun. Wait, if the effect has it, then the cause has to have it. Where did the supply come from? You follow? Everybody follow that? Clayton's got a face like, I don't know.
Sorry, no, I was just looking up the Atmaramas verse.
Okay.
Yeah, I was kind of struggling to understand the last line of that, formlessness from form. But yeah.
It like the light, the light bulb precedes the light.
Right.
The light pervades into, in a sense of kind of all pervasiveness of losing its own distinction.
Got it.
But it has its basis in form. Brahmano pratishtaham. I am the pratishta, the standing point or the support of this energy of mine, the spiritual energy. Okay,
Right.
I'm getting into a lot of
Okay.
points.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
No problem. Yeah. We probably want more practice though. Any other comments or questions? Here's one other point. You guys heard this analogy before, mistaking a rope to be a snake. How many? Let's see. I can over here. Everybody, you've heard of that? Chapter G.
Yes.
Carlos. Okay.
Yes.
Now, why would you tell me? Why would you mistake a rope to be a snake?
I remember, Prabhuji, if I can speak on that.
Yes.
So I think what it comes to mind is actually Raghunath Prabhuji. He was talking about how in the desert, sometimes you see a mirage.
Mirage,
like
yeah.
like a lake. Yeah, like a lake in the middle of a desert. So I think that's where my mind takes me. It's like you want to see something where there is not,
Yes.
based on your own philosophical mind.
So here's a question. Why would you see a rope and not mistake it for like a pizza? Or why not see a rope and not mistake it for like a potato?
Because there's some similarities in quality.
Similarities and qualities. Like you don't see a rope and think, whoa, that's a tiger or it's an elephant. Because the thing that is being mistaken to be something else, both of them have similar qualities. So I mistake this body as the self because the original self has a body. I mistake this world as being real because the original world, yatha praviti prashita purani, from whom everything has emanated since time immemorial, has similar qualities as this world. You only mistake things that have similar qualities. You wouldn't see a rope and say, hey, that's a yellow car, or that's a box. You know, it's a box. That rope is a box from FedEx. You know, unless they have similar qualities, you wouldn't fall into that mistake of having that illusion. And why think of snakes? Because snakes actually exist. So why think of personality? Why do I think I'm a real person? Because personality actually exists. So there's some points about that analogy. I've heard that. I heard this in Mayapur. These points. There's some more. I can't remember all of them. These are from Radhikaman Prabhu, who hopefully someday I think they'll have him on Wisdom of Sages. Raghu was interested in getting him on. Nice. He's a devotee who started college at 11 He graduated valedictorian of Boise State University at 17, and he is Oxford University's youngest PhD yet. And he got his PhD in Vaishnava philosophy. And
For real? Wow.
He's totally brilliant.
Amazing.
And he gives this amazing course on describing the amazing qualities of the Bhagavatam. So yeah, here, let's not hold up anymore. So you can repeat after me. Mave mama evam sho jiva loke.
Do you want us unmuted for that, or?
As you like. Yeah. I can just time it. Jiva bhuta sanatanaha. Mana sastani indriyani. Prakriti stani karshati. There's an Ayurvedic book. If I remember, I think the name of the book is Prakriti. Prakriti means material nature. Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, I don't have, because I'm doing this on my phone because the internet went down. Guy's supposed to come actually right around now. And so there's no breakout rooms. So it's a little less practice than we usually get. Mama evam sho jiva loke. Jiva bhuta sanatanaha. Manasastani indriyani. Prakriti sthani karshati. Yeah, the question was brought up by the acharyas. He says, this person who goes, who knows how to surrender unto the Supreme, he goes, he's the one who never yet got body no artante. He doesn't, once having gone to that spiritual world, he doesn't return to this world. But who were he talking about? Now Krishna's clarifying, who is this soul? What is it? What is that soul that having gone to the spiritual world never returns back to the material world? He is Krishna's eternal fragmental part. And here it's also another point, the mama part, that he is not here in the Bhagavad Gītā. He says he's not an eternal fragmental part of Lord Shiva. He says it's a mama. This is the eternal fragmental part of Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, whom Shiva is a special type of incarnation of. So I guess you could say he's a part of, in a sense, part of Krishna. Shiva. Shiva is a special incarnation, very hard personality to even understand, because he's not a soul, a jiva like you and I, but yet he's still not on the same category as Lord Vishnu. He's like yogurt. Yogurt's made from milk. Krishna's the milk, Shiva's the yogurt. You can't turn the yogurt back into milk, but it came from milk. And yogurt is milk that had been touched by a culturing agent. There's a verse in the Brahma Samhita, Shiram dadari vishesha yogat. It even has the word yogurt, but that word doesn't mean yogurt in the verse. So when Krishna and matter, Krishna and Maya are like oil and water. They're not even mixing. He's transcendental. He's aloof from it. So he has a form of himself that's more touched by Maya, more integrated with Maya, like kind of halfway there. And so that form is known as Shiva, where he's touched by Maya. So when milk gets touched by a culturing agent, if it gets touched by tamarind, you can make yogurt out of putting tamarind in milk. That's called heritage yogurt. So similarly, when Krishna takes a form that's touched by matter, that's the form called Shiva. Okay. Mama evam sho jiva loke. Jiva bhuta sanatanaha. Manasastani indriyani. Prakritishtani karshati. Okay, how about we have Bailey as our reciter? You can just read it off. You don't have to do it from memory. He's still here. I don't know. I can only see.
Yes.
Here.
All right. Mamaivam sho jiva loke.
And I think it's more of I always had this question of the AI letter. What was the sound of that letter? And it's like if you have the word cha and ava, it becomes cheva. So like che tanya. So mame instead of mamai. It's because it's an A and an E together. And I was trying to figure that out, and I saw, okay, cha and ava, when those two words combine, it becomes cheva. So mameva, mamevam sho, mamevam sho. Okay, go for it.
All right. Mamevam sho jiva loke.
Mamevam sho jiva loke.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Mana sastani indriyani.
Manasastani indriyani.
Prakriti stani karshati.
Prakriti stani karshati. Okay. And Matthew Seva, want to recite it? Do a reading of it?
I'll give it a shot.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Mamevam sho jiva loke.
Mameva. One at a time. Yeah.
Sorry.
Mamevam sho jiva loke.
Mamevam sho jiva loke.
Mamevam sho jiva loke.
Mamevam sho jiva loke.
Oh, you can move on to the second part. The second.
Okay.
Okay.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
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 Jiva bhuta sanatanaha. What does sanatan mean?
Senses. No, that's Indriani. Sorry.
Yeah, like they call
I
it
forget.
Sanatan Dharma.
So the eternal.
Eternal, yes.
Okay. Manashas. Should I continue?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Manashastani indriyani.
Manasastani indriyani.
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 Manashastani indriyani.
Manasasthani indriyani. You can go on the next line.
Manashastani indriyani.
Manashashtani indriyani.
Prakriti stani karshati.
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 Should I continue?
We're getting our push-ups.
Yeah. Prakriti stani karshati.
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 Yeah, if you're out driving and then you see a car in a wreck, you're like, man, Prakriti stani karshati. It's just struggling in this world, man. It's a struggle. Again, oh, Prakriti stani karshati. There it goes.
That's my son with his Lego this morning. Prakriti stani karshati, struggling very hard with his Lego.
It wasn't cooperating. He lose a piece.
No, he just, he's 5, so like he gets so frustrated when he can't make what he wants, and he just loses it.
It's 5, yeah. Okay.
And I'm sure, Clayton, but if I may, that you get pretty that you experience the Prakriti Sthani Karsati whenever they're left out on the floor.
You know it, Prabhu. Although I haven't stepped on a single piece.
Oh
Wow.
So
Nice.
I've been good.
no.
So yeah, you see this verse. First, he talks about kind of introducing the soul. What is the soul? Then he says, the next verse, Sharinam Yadavapnoti, talks about how he's moving from one body to another, carrying his different conceptions of life, is carrying his manas, his mind, again, to the next body. He's carrying that different conceptions of life. And then he talks about how he takes it into another body in verse 9. And he's situated in a new eye, ear, sense of touch, sense of, all the senses, and goes about Vishayan Upasevate, to enjoy that new body. And verse 10 and 11, this basically talks about how it takes spiritual awareness and knowledge and advancement to be aware of this, how the soul is in the body. Just like if I were to drive a car and the smoke starts coming out of the car, I may come outside, open the hood, look inside, see the smoke, and just be like, I don't know what's going on here. Whereas the mechanic comes and he looks at the same thing due to his jnana chakshut, his eyes been trained with knowledge. He sees the same things I'm seeing, but he sees a whole deeper picture. So yeah, that's verses 10 and then 11. So this section here is about reincarnation. Chance, how about you do a reading? You want to do a reading?
Sure, Prabhu. Of the
Chapter verse 7.
I actually like.
Oh, we can come back to you if you want. Okay. So who's next? We got Bailey. Did you go? Did you recite it?
I did. We have Clayton, Kapu, and Carlos.
Okay, Clayton, you're up.
Hello. Mamaivang so jiva aloke.
Maevam sho jiva loke.
Jiva bhuta sanatana.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Manashastan indriyani.
Manashashtandri indriyani.
Prakriti stani karshati.
Prakriti sthani karshati. Okay, one more time.
Mamaivang so jiva aloke.
Mamevam sho jiva loke.
Sorry, I'll try that again, correcting my Mamevangsho jivaloke.
Mamevangsho jivaloke.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Manashastani indriyani.
Manasastani indriyani.
Prakrite stani karshati.
Prakriti stani karshati.
Prakriti stani karshati. Sorry, yeah. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Mr. Chance, are you good now? All right.
Unmute, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Mame vamsho jiva loke.
Mamevangsho jivaloke.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Manashashtan indriyani.
Manasastani indriyani.
Prakristani karshati.
Prakriti stani karshati. One more time.
One more time. Mame vamsho jiva loke.
Mamevangsho jivaloke.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Manashastani indriyani.
Manasastani indriyani.
Prakristani karshati.
Prakritistani karshati. So it looks like Chance has already got it. He's got his eyes closed. So Chapu.
Okay. Mame vamso jivaloke.
Mame vamsho jivaloke.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Manasashtani indriyani.
Manasastani indriyani.
Prakritishtani karshati.
Prakritistani karshati. Very nice. One more time.
Mame vamso jivaloke.
Mame vamsho jivaloke.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Manasashtani indriyani.
Manasastani indriyani.
Prakritishtani karshati.
Prakritistani karshati. Awesome. Who do we got? We got Carlos. Carlos, you up?
Okay.
Thank you.
My first class.
I think you're free
So-
because your connection's so bad.
Chapter 15,
Yeah, you're we can every few syllables we can hear
Okay,
sound.
this time.
Yeah, your connection's not so good. Did anybody not go yet?
I think everyone went,
Yeah.
but I do have a question, Prabhu.
Yes, go for it.
So on the third line, Shashtani Indriyani, we're pronouncing the I in the middle twice, like we're breaking up the word. Is that how we
That's
should
fine,
be
yeah.
doing it? That's
Yeah,
fine.
you can put it together. Sastani Indriyani.
Okay.
The reason
With
why it's a
breaking it
long
apart.
I is because the two short I's are brought together.
Gotcha.
Shashtani and Indriyani. It's basically just those two words are together. So Manasastani Indriyani. But if you want to, if it helps you to make a pause, then you can do that. It's fine. Mana sastani indriyani. You can pause, or you can say mana sastani indriyani. So yeah, I thought that would probably be the hardest part.
Yeah. One last comment. I really liked the structure of this class, how it was like a Bhagavatam class where everyone was the leader of the call and response. I like that. That was fun.
Okay. Yeah. Any reflections on that, you guys? Versus our breakout rooms, is it worked out fine for everybody?
I would like to
I
put
think-
something in here,
oh.
if I may.
Yeah. Mr. Chance I think he got the first
Sure.
word in. So let's go.
And I was just going to say, if anyone, I'm free after this, so if anyone wants to have some more practice, then maybe we could jump on the Discord the voice channel, or if someone wants to put together a Zoom call. I'm free if anyone wants to do some more practicing, maybe quizzing on some of the words, things like that.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. And who was the next person who wanted to say something?
I was just going to say, I think I agree with Bailey. If it's the sort of small group size like this, then that was very enjoyable and everyone participated. But if the class gets much bigger, then I think the breakout rooms make a lot of sense. So
Okay. Nice. Yeah, we've have lately. It's probably around people or so lately. So that's kind of the average. Yeah. So we don't necessarily need to do breakout rooms each time. And it's sometimes we get good practice if there's more people, but then some good points are heard and they're not heard by everybody. So, all right. It's a very nice verse. I think we've met our time here. Any last questions or comments?
I had one last question, Prabhu, but it's not that big. But I can't remember exactly where I was reading. I thought it was 7 where Prabhupada was commenting. Oh, it might have been a different paragraph, but just on the Prakriti Stani Karshati, he was saying even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are struggling, like in the material. That might have been in there somewhere, but I just thought that was interesting, relating back to our discussion about what you were saying about Lord Shiva being like yogurt, that he's like touched. Even Lord Shiva's struggling a little bit.
Yeah, he was Lord Shiva was chased by the Bhashmasura, Vrikasura. You all know this story? You want to hear a little tiny story?
Shallow.
All right. So Vrikasura, who was this great demon, he was also known as Bhashmasura. Bhashma means ashes. So he would survive on eating ashes, and he decided to cut pieces of his flesh and throw it into the fire in petition of Lord Shiva to give him powers. So he was cutting off chunks of his flesh and throwing it into the fire. And then he was cutting his head off. And with his last remaining strength, he was going to toss his head into the fire. And my son right now is standing there with a switchblade in his hand. What is he doing? What are you doing with that? That's not for playing.
And Nityananda Yagya.
Oh, he's going to offer me to the fire. So at the last moment, Lord Shiva appeared and said, hey, I am Ashutosh. I'm very easily pleased. You don't have to do all this crazy, drastic, bloody, disgusting stuff. You just offer me one of those. He has a particular leaf that he likes. He says, you don't have to do all this crazy stuff. And he said, what do you want? He said, I want the power. Whomever head I touch, their heads will explode. Done. They're dead. And he said, okay, you touch too. You have this power. And then he started looking at Lord Shiva's wife. He was like, And he decided, he was going to kill Lord Shiva and take his wife. And so this powerful demon yogi started chasing Lord Shiva throughout the entire universe, trying to touch him on the head. And as he was chasing him, Lord Vishnu appeared, I think, as a Brahmana, or maybe as in his own form. He's
Brahma.
a little what?
Little kid.
A little kid. Okay, that's what my son says. He said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, I want to get Lord Shiva's wife as my own. I want to kill him by touching his head. He gave me this power. Anybody's head I touch will explode." And so Lord Krishna says, "He doesn't have any powers. What are you talking about? He can't do anything like that. Just touch your head. Nothing will happen. Just see." He blew himself up. Funny story. And then the Lord told him, he said, "Hey, you can't be so with these demons. You can't just give them whatever they want, Be a little bit more careful." I think he told that to Brahma too. Why did I get into that story? I can't remember. How did I get into
Because
that
even
story?
Lord Shiva struggles.
Oh yeah, so yeah, he's struggling and this guy's chasing him. Of course, it's probably some kind of Leela. But okay, don't play with that. Where's my son? Ramana, do you know any verses? You forgot them all? You forgot them all. You learned all this stuff a long time ago. All right, so any other comments or questions? John, so yeah, Prakriti Shtani Karshati. And what are we struggling very hard with? Mana or mind. That's and the six, we're struggling with our senses, but the mind. Prabhupada said 80% of disease is caused by the mind. So if we can have a very powerful, healthy mind, have a healthier body. We want also, there's so much psychological distress nowadays. So Om Tat Sat. Thanks a lot. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And reach out to Mr. Chance. He's ready. He's got time right now. I think we had a comment. Let's see. Chapu said she did some work with Alex. Very cool. So she's available too. We can reach out to Chapu. Both Chance and Chapu got number of verses.
I'll be meeting with Alex as well at 2 on Signal. So if anybody, I'm just going to type my phone number here. I don't use WhatsApp or whatever. So if anybody wants to add me on Signal for shloka practice, feel free. No pressure.
Okay, so I'll give you enough time. Make sure you guys take that number down. You want a practice partner? Want to say hi, Ramananda? Come here.
Hi.
Howdy, Bo.
You
Cool
disappeared
hair,
too quick, Ramananda. You disappeared too quick.
I like your green hair, man.
Thank
Hey,
you.
you guys got to
Like
look up young pictures of who?
Don't you even dare. No.
All you got to do is look up young pictures of Robert Downey Jr. and he's got this face. I swear.
Awesome.
Go on like the IMDb and look up the pictures. They got the same face. It's ridiculous.
I do not look anything like him.
You are Iron Man.
No, I'm not.
All right.
I'm the opposite of him.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Gracias, Haribol.
Gracias.
Hare
Muchas
Krishna,
gracias.
Haribol.
Que tenga un buen día.